Hello and welcome to Additional Intelligence. If this is your first time here, you're welcome. My name is Opoyemi Additional, founder Additional Assets, and we do this every week where I share intelligence, economic intelligence, in pursuit of our mission at Additional Assets, which is to invest for Afro-prosperity. And if you're a returning viewer, you're also welcome. Today we have a very interesting topic that I would like to speak about, and one that I think that I do know affect us quite closely. And it will be the opposite of what we stand for. So like I said, our mission is basically simple. If you see any of our social media platforms, you see the bio says investing for Afro-prosperity. But today we are going to be looking at the roots of Afri-poverty. The roots of Afri-poverty. In recent times, I've realized that we cannot talk about Afri-prosperity without actually understanding why we are here, without understanding what led us here, without understanding how we got here in the first place. Because the honest truth is, few minutes ago, or about a few hours ago, maybe a few minutes, I really can't remember. Let me just say, a few minutes ago, I kept repeating to myself that nothing is going to make me hate Africa. Nothing is going to make me hate Africa. Nothing is going to make me hate Africa. And I wasn't repeating it for fun. It was because I realized that I was seeing things that was honestly discouraging me from, discouraging me from the effort I really want to make. And things that are honestly disheartening, especially for the kind of mission that we are embarking on, right? Interestingly, it is not even just about an African country hating another African country. It's interesting that you actually see even intra-African conflict. And apart from even talking with regards to nationality, as individuals, right, you listen to how people talk, you hear, people argue online, people say things, and you wonder if this is your fellow African. So you ask yourself, what work would you need to do to truly get this person to a refined or a reform or a transformed mindset? Let me give you a practical example. I think one of the saddest things that happened to me, recently was driving on the road in a residential area, right? Not in an estate though, but in a street full of, residential estates. And then you're struggling to navigate your way because there are cows on the road. And for a minute, I felt like an animal. Because I felt no difference between myself and the animals roaming the street. It feels as if I was also on my four limbs, also navigating with them and trying to, and it was just so sad. I'll give you another example. You go to developed countries and you take Uber. So let me give you a practical example. Let me tell you where this thought actually came from. I was watching Suits and I saw, I've forgotten the character now, come out of the building and wave down a taxi and enter the taxi. And it's a taxi. What Ibadan would call Mikra, what Abuja would call Along. I think it's also called taxi in Lagos. But it is still decent. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. This is public transport. Public. but it is still decent. But you look at the illustrations I've given in the Nigerian context. Is Mikra decent? Is Along decent? So it makes, I think that beyond our realization, we are actually being dehumanized. You know, it's a sad reality. And the saddest part of this thing is that no questions asked. Why are there enormous potholes? Why am I driving among cows? Why are public transportation so wretched and dirty? Why can't a space just be clean? And it looks as if, things that should be the normal, decent need of an average human is what we now sell as luxury. Things like there's 247 power supply. Things like there's POP, it's styled, the rooms are in suites. I've been in real estate space, and it takes a shameless person to truly market certain things as luxury. And much more, it takes a poverty-stricken mind to sell certain things as luxury, because even the agents too, I've seen things like, you see comic videos that would say agents returning back to their homes after saying, this house is affordable, is going for just, 100 million naira or 500 million naira. And then when you see them going back to their own house, it's one slum. So why won't a decently spaced living room be luxury? Why won't sufficient parking space be luxury? But the question today is, what is at the root of this Afri-poverty? I was in a particular African country, and every time we drove out, I keep looking at the street and I have questions. How did we get here? You don't understand my question. This isn't just even about Africa. This is about the quality of life an average human should live. It would amaze you that many prisoners in certain countries live better lives than many free humans in other countries. And it's sad. It's sad. And there are foundations to all these things. There was a time I was asking a group of people, and it was a simple question, and I hope nobody takes offense. And the question was, how do you survive on 100,000 naira a month? The interesting part of this conversation is the fact that I was asking 20-year-olds who are single, and the paradox is that they are married people earning the same. And you have questions about the quality of life they are living. You see, nobody was born poor, right? And I think one of the expressions I've I've loved to, I've adapted or I've employed is the fact that we were taught to be poor. In fact, let me quickly put a disclaimer, because many people think when I talk about Afro-prosperity, I talk about good roads, prosperity now, Africans having too much money or Africans having a lot of money, right? I think that's what I mean when I talk about Afro-prosperity. But what I actually mean when I speak about Afro-prosperity is deeper than that. When you are, for example, in Nigeria, when you hear things like the Big Four, that's like the hallmark of you working in a prestigious place. These are foreign companies. Right. Many of our even everyday goods, they are not Nigerian. Indomie, milk, toothpaste, soaps, several things, even your favorite canned food, snacks, they're not Nigerian. They are not African, in fact. And the concept of African prosperity is actually that we begin to have enterprises of African origin, but with global consumption. The average person uses Samsung phone, an Apple phone, even the furniture in your office, they're from Turkey, in your house. So you can see that the poverty eats deep. So if you think when I talk about poverty, I'm just talking about not having money. No, you're just at the surface level. It's deeper than that. It's structural. I'm not even sure there's a made in Nigerian bicycle. Not stock of cars. There's a long way to go, and I just hope I'm able to tie some knots into this conversation. As a custodian of capital, as a steward of capital, one of the hardest conversations you can have is having investment conversation with an average African. There are just so many things that they just do not get. Because I was speaking to a particular founder, a particular entrepreneur, basically, and he was speaking to me about the fact that their least capital comes from Africans, but their biggest headache comes from those African investors with the least capital. It's a paradox. We can't think far. We can't think long term. We can't think beyond the now. And that's why we hardly build anything that outlives us. Hardly. And in fact, you can't even have conversations with too many people without having to water it down. There's a platform that they used to pride themselves in having intelligent conversations. I'm sorry. I think it's still one of the dumbest platforms in Nigeria. Maybe actually in the world, I don't know. But at least the Nigerian part that I've been on. Seen engagement, seen conventional. Just disgusted. And here is my first observation. Might has been beaten out of us. From the family, to the school, to the workplace, to the politics. Everyone is beating you to succumb to a pattern. Let me give you. So I was in an event recently. I was invited as a guest in an event recently, and then I had a convoy, and there was like is it Mopo now in front, clearing the road, and then there was a vehicle with siren. And what was going on in my head is, why are you bullying people off the road? Number one, I was not late, so I was not in a hurry to go anywhere. Why? Because, and the reason is because, and meanwhile, you that you are bullying someone, you and the person are at the same level. Do this exercise. All right. Rent a Prado, drive past the checkpoint, see how you'll be greeted. Then go back, take a maybe Toyota Corolla, drive past the same checkpoint, see how you're going to be treated. The interesting part is that the person in the Corolla and the policeman, they are not far from each other. Their reality is not that far-fetched. But they will treat each other with disdain, and then the person whose reality is farther than yours, then you respect. The person with whom you should come together and fight your oppressors are the ones you're fighting with. And for every time the guy was with me, taking me to the venue, I was disgusted. Why are you bullying off? Why must every street we pass, why must they know someone is passing? And it's because something is wrong already with our definition of wealth, our definition of affluence. It's not even about what it satisfies in us, it's about how better we are than the other person. From experience, not many people truly even have the strength to dream. See, you will think, I used to think that dreams was free. Dreaming is free, Dreaming is cheap. And I think the first time that reality dawned on me was when I was in the National Youth Service Corps, as the NYSC we do here in Nigeria. And maybe also after having conversation with certain individuals from other African countries, and I realized, being able to dream is very expensive and very scarce. Even when you try to communicate that this thing can be at this level, they just cannot. They just cannot. I can bet you with you, there are people who will live and die, and $1 million will never cross their mind. The sound of a newborn baby truly is a sound of joy to the people that gave birth to the child. But it might be a moment of mourning for that child. Because there's nothing, not just that there's nothing to aid the child, it's the fact that there's even more forces dragging the child to their own reality. It's painful. It's painful. It's painful. I've stopped speaking on certain things because I realized that we are very emotional. Very emotional. Very emotional. The first thing is that something that is worth noting is the fact that, have you heard people that would say, I remember when Nigeria was good, we were importing this and doing that. 1 naira was equals to $1 and this and this. Even someone if you're in your 20s, mid-20s, late 20s, I'm sure you remember some of us, I bought spaghetti for 70, 80 naira. I bought I don't know, in Yoruba land, it's called Congo. It's 10 cups that is inside. For 50, 60 naira. Right. I can remember, even when I was in school, I still bought, there's this fish called shower. I think it's the cheapest. I don't know. It's been a while. For maybe about 120, 100 naira. And then the expensive one, which is it Alaron? Is that what they call Titus? That's the one that you now see for 500, 600 naira. I can bet maybe it's about 30,000, 20,000 now. And you hear all those history. The good times. But what you should know is that even when what you are calling the good times now, when at that time, you were also saying, things are expensive now. Oh, we remember the good times. And then I'm sure that even, for example, I think my mom once told a story that all the money she got, or the money they gave her, all those things, if you're a bride, they spray you money, all those things. I think all the money she got was about 70 naira. And it was big money, sort of, as at then. But I'm sure that even as at then, too, they were still complaining that, I remember those days. But where I'm actually really going is the fact that the average African honestly do not really have a comprehensive history of their identity. You don't. We don't. Or should I say, contextually, Nigeria. And once you don't know who you are, really, you are good for anything. So at the core of this thing is actually identity. Have you seen people that you are speaking to them about what you want to do and who you are, and they are looking at you like, how dare you? How dare you want to be a billionaire? How dare you It looks like you're committing a crime. That you can't dream doesn't mean I should stop dreaming. That's the truth. Recent times it's one of the hardest things for me to do is actually to sit down and talk. Honestly. It's been a really, really tough one. Really, really tough one. Because I have all these conflicting thoughts. I don't know. I've just been quiet. That's why some of you see that we've been posting more of quotes. Just been quiet. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. I was speaking until the average person really gets reoriented as to the quality of life they deserve. They will continue to be vulnerable to the wishes of politicians. Was it Miles Monroe that said that never mistake a politician for a leader. A leader serves. It is the followers that even honors a leader. You don't box. You don't force people to honor you. We don't even know. And this is so funny because so I'll just say this and then I'll move on. Unpopular opinion. I think marriage has lost its plot. Marriage has become a to-do without purpose. I don't know. People don't even know why they get married anymore. And I'm saying this to get somewhere. Because one of the ways to really build and compound should be partnerships. But in an aimless partnerships, you are not building anything. So nothing gets built, nothing gets compounded, no effort. So ideally, one is supposed to chase 1,000 and then two comes to chase 10,000. But then, even the one hasn't done 10. So the two people are coming together, they hardly chase 15. That's even if they chase anything at all. And then they give birth and then confused parents, confused children. And we dump everything on God and, God gives children. I mean, doesn't he? It was there on your wedding night. Okay. I think we need to start taking responsibility. You made the baby. Take responsibility for it. Take responsibility for what the baby is going to become. Take responsibility. Have a plan before you make. If I employ someone, I know that I have responsibility to pay the person's salary. Some companies employ, and they know that for this period of time, this person will need training. They will invest in the kind of training that they want. And by the way, I believe strongly that a child would only not be a succession plan when the parents built nothing. I'm saying the roots of Afri poverty is deep, and we'll get into several institutions if you really want to deal with it. Several institutions. In fact, let me say this in passing. When you are building something, right, and the situation demands or requires that the wife focus on raising the children, you will never think that what she's doing is less of value than what you are doing. Because you know that if anything you are building will ever outlive you, she's the one raising your successor. So that's your successor being raised. And that's why many child will first waste about 20 years of their life not even knowing why they are here. Because there's nothing organized being built at home. Another thing outsourced leadership. Everything you blame on someone else. Blame on government, blame on this, blame on that. You know, it's a very convenient thing to outsource responsibilities. It's very convenient. It's very easy. It's very easy. I wanted to get into some international politics, or maybe not this session, because there's also at a level there's outsourced leadership from aides. I just have many questions running through my mind. If we will ever have, don't get excited when someone says the Nigeria of my dream. Ask them, what's that your dream? Don't think you are thinking the same thing. Ask the person. Hold on. I understand what you're saying, but can you elaborate on the Nigeria of your dreams? Someone posted confidently. I don't know where he came from. Maybe it was someone that said, he said, Nigerians don't even want much. He said, just give them light in the morning for them to iron their clothes and go to work. Then when they come back at night too, give them light for them to sleep. He said, that's all. How did we get here? How? Do you know how smart the human mind is? Do you know what a human being is capable of? But many people never really live. And interestingly, I found out that changing territory doesn't even mean anything. If you see the world, I think one of the best views you can have is to see the world as a market. That you are as a new market for you to distribute to, as a market for you to distribute. So the question is, what do you have that you are distributing? Nothing. Just want to be a beneficiary of everything. Oh, where is something working? Where's something working? Let me just be a beneficiary. And then there's no free lunch anywhere. So day two. Okay. At a time, we need to admit to ourselves that we might need borrowed appetites, which is what we call exposure. Because there's nothing to really inspire you at home. I asked someone the question. I said, if a Nigerian travels to the UK or to the US, you say, oh, exposure is good, right? Or goes to maybe Dubai, you say, you need to travel so that you can be exposed. When an American comes to Nigeria, is he also getting exposed? Or they don't need to travel? Or when they come to Ghana, they're also like, oh, wow, my mind is enlarged. My mind, God, if you know what I saw, God, my mind is it true? Or they come and like, oh my God, they are. Or it's when they come here, they now think of an NGO to start. All they see is, oh, we need to help, we need to do it less. Or at best, they're like, oh, they're also catching up. Appetite for something better. But you see, let's not even talk about appetite. I think appetite and disgust for the existing goes hand in hand. They go hand in hand. We have been dehumanized. I saw a post. I tried this thing. I realized that you really can't talk about investing, true investment, in the public. That's why every good deal will always happen in private. You will continue to play catch up. And that's why the number one sign, contrary to just like what you have, the number one sign let me see what I want to say. I saw a post on Twitter and the person said that if you have $1 million, what will you do that you never go broke again? Let me see if I can bring that up. So that it doesn't look as if I made it up. And someone replied, it says $1 million times 1,400 naira. He said that it equals 1.4 billion naira. Number one, buy house for Ikoyi, 400 million naira. Furnitures, 100 million naira. G-Wagon, 300 million naira. Wrangler, that's a car, 70 million naira. Toyota Hilux, 50 million naira. Jewelries, 50 million naira. One big frozen food store for Ikorodu Aja, 130 million naira. Family, 100 million naira. Then available funds, 200 million naira. And I saw other people that sounds like they sounds emotionally. You hear things like build house for my parents, 200 million naira. Buy my parents a car, this and this. Open this for my parents. It sounds like, oh, good child, good. Our mind is not productive. Our minds are not. Capital in the hands of an unproductive mind is still a waste. I said something. I said it is vain and futile to teach an unproductive mind how to steward capital. Tell them to submit it. Tell them to submit it. So really, your money is actually better utilized in banks. Don't listen to them. Don't give back your money. Inflation will eat it. In your hand, what are you doing with it? Oh yeah. At least banks will put it into a business and get good loan and provide businesses with funds to actually do business. Capital is useless. You are not a multiplier. It's useless. We have a long way to go. A really long way to go. And this is sad. We've been damaged. I feel like hosting. So let me confess. I've been thinking of having a physical masterclass. Actually, I've been thinking of maybe making it free or just at a small price to actually sieve people out. But it's not a 2-hour session and we are not having guest speakers. Just me. Maybe only me for 5 hours or 7 hours. But I feel like
along the line, I'm probably going to cry. Because every time I speak with people and they ask me a question, I'm like, how? How? By the way, this is not even a Nigerian thing. Please. I don't know why, but I've realized that the biggest determinant in all these things, honestly speaking, is family. Do you know why in primary school and secondary school you have people you call rich kids? It's not that they are rich. It's because their parents are rich. And they carry that identity. And that identity informs every of their moves. Appetite, new appetite for something better. Just get angry. Just get angry. Just look at your life and know that no, this actually shouldn't be how to live. Just get angry. Just get unsatisfied. Just wake up and you don't have to get into any vice. You can actually be ethically productive, legally productive. You can. You can. The same way you can organize your thoughts to steal, you can organize your thoughts to be productive. You can. What's one thing you are giving all yourselves to? What's one thing you are building? What's it? Just don't be a victim. Just decide not to 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 be a victim. In conclusion, there's a statement that Avi Specter said in Suits. He said, when anyone points a gun to you and your back is against the wall, he said, what do you do? Michael said, you surrender. Or you beg or do something. He said, no. He said, you snatch the gun or do any of the other maybe 100 things that you can do. It sounds, what's he saying? It's just, the summary of that statement is just fight to your last breath.
Just never giving. Just never giving. So much we can do. I saw something somewhere. It said, why are Africans always starting something? The first. Why is nobody continuing? It means that something exists. Why is nobody always pushing the frontier of an existing knowledge forward? When we're talking about bridging the gap between durable capital and viable ideas, the truth is, how many people truly have viable ideas? Investable ideas? Those who have, do they truly have the mental strength to even stay on it? I've gotten, in trying to support someone, I've gotten 3 pairs of shoes from someone before that I could not wear any of them. Couldn't. Let me say this as I wrap up. You have more power to fight, to demand for better governance. The higher the quality of person you are, the higher the power you actually have to fight. Because economic power is an underrated tool. It is. The longer the majority of us are peasants, the more elections will be won on a platter, and the more the country rotten. The more we focus on the primary thing of each and every one of us, trying to build something and be a better quality of person, not driving past one way, not loitering the street, not trying to cheat the other person, not trying to beg at every stops and gates and checkpoints, and not trying to worship anyone at the expense of the other. Because some people would never even come out to demand for a better country, because even their conscience and their subconscious knows that they are not better. That even if they also get to that kind of position, they know they will ruin the country. They will steal. If class reps would add to the money of material so you can have extra, and lecturers will sleep with girls for grades, and interviewers will take advantage of interviewee, and other vices that will be swept under the carpet in several industries, then the people we elect are a reflection of who we are as a larger society. It reminds me of something Dr. Sam said. He said, will a group of thieves vote a policeman as their leader? I'll see you some other time. Cheers.